All right, well, welcome back, everybody. My name's Andrew, and you're watching the Kelley's Country Life. So today, yep, you guessed it, still doing electrical. I will admit, this is taking so much longer than I thought, but a lot of it's been my fault. I've only got some 1, 2, and 4 hour days to work on a lot of this. I've made a lot of changes. I've added more stuff. I've had a hard time finding materials. It is what it is. We get done, but we're gonna do it right. So today is something I've actually been looking forward to. We're not pulling any more wires, none of that stuff. We're just about done with all that. We need to get this panel mounted. And I finally went and got my meter box and talked with the electric company on how high they want this. That's what determines where I can mount that meter box height-wise and side to side right there, which I know it's going in the cabinet. So the meter box outside determines where the knockout comes in, to where I need to match a knockout in the bottom of that in order to feed my wires through. That's why I've been waiting to mount this. I'll have to do some specialized blocking in here. We'll talk about code heights for mounting this, and also how we're going to start securing wires up there, because we're just about at that point. There's actually only one wire left to pull up top. That's to the AC unit. I don't have that wire. And then we got a couple more. Actually, that's right. We're going to pull out to a sub panel now. Sub panel has not arrived. That's been a nightmare, but we'll get that figured out when we do. So let's go ahead and start installing the main breaker panel, at least as far as we can for rough and electrical, which basically means we're not going to hook up nothing much in there. And let's figure out where we're going to mount the meter box, although the meter box can't technically go in the house until after the siding's up. But we can go ahead and get our penetration through, make sure everything's nice and sealed up. That's what's important to me. All right, so the National Electric Code states that a main breaker panel, the highest breaker, can't be higher than 6 feet 7 inches. So I'm gonna make a mark on the studs here, what 6 feet 7 inches is. It's ridiculously high, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know who would mount anything this high. So now that I've made this mark, the highest breaker in a main panel is always your 200 amp main, in my case, where you'd flip it off or on. So now I know if I stay below that mark, I'm good to go, and I can kind of set the panel where I want. Now, as far as the electric co-op, they all have different heights for meter reading and where they want it. Mine was quite vague. They just said somewhere between 4 and 5 feet. We're good with that. They didn't really have an exact rule. They just kind of want to keep it eye height range, somewhere around there, so somebody can easily read it. So I've made this mark. I know to stay below that for code. That's the most important here. I'll find out where the panel needs to go, do my knockout, punch a hole out through the wall. Then I can do the knockout on the meter panel. So once that hole's through, then I know exactly where I can put my main meter box outside, and it's looking like it's going to wind up right in that eye height range that the co-op's looking for. So this should be relatively straightforward here. Now this is called a bushing. It's my understanding you always want to have one of these on your 1.5 inch and larger pipes because it's got a nice rounded edge that will not chafe the wire when it comes through. All right, not a perfect job, but I got it caught in from the outside. I got zip tape flashed over, and I've spaced it out enough to whenever I do my lap siding around this, I'm just going to trim out my hardy board right here. This will still stick out. I'll caulk it again, so that's 3 lines of coverage here as far as leaking goes. And then I'll put my box on from the outside. I've made for sure that I've left enough to stick out past the lap siding. Screw my nut on the box, caulk that inside as well. And I feel pretty confident as the rain comes down the lap siding, it'll hit that runoff, continue to go down the lap siding. If it makes it inside, it then hits the flashing, goes down the vapor barrier. I don't foresee this ever getting inside. And I'm going to take the box back off on the inside, caulk this to the OSB for make sure it's really air sealed tight. All right, so this episode was supposed to be about installing the main panel, but as usual, things don't always go as you've planned. So my sub panel still has not shown up, and I ordered it quite a while back thanks to good old Amazon's new very slow Prime shipping. I'm gonna have to cancel my Prime membership. So it's supposed to be here today, tomorrow, something like that. So we need to go ahead and finish this episode up instead of rocking on 3 days. I've got other stuff I need to do too. So the reason I'm gonna stop right here and not go ahead and pull wires in the panel is because I'm gonna have to pull this panel back off and do some specialized knockouts and run through the wood here to get over to somewhere in this area where I'm going to mount my sub panel. Now the reason I'm going to do a sub panel outside is one, I need to free up some spaces in here. I struggled finding, this was as large as I could find at the time, a 30 space breaker box. Really needed a 40. But I'm happy I'm doing a sub panel outside anyways. We're going to add a pole and other things like that in the future, and it'll be really nice just pulling a wire straight to the ground, running an underground feeder wire, done. Don't never have to come back through the wall. Got a sub panel outside to feed that. The other thing I'm going to do is run the AC wire off that sub panel outside, my pumping well, and one outlet. Yeah. So I have been thinking back and forth, playing with some materials here, trying to figure out where I'm going to mount all this, get to some of the knockouts that are in this, how I'm going to get through these 2x6 walls, because I really want to get that sub panel over there because we're trying to get the outside condenser AC unit as far away from the bedroom as we can because, well, that's the noisiest part of the AC right there. I want it far away from the window. So, since I'm about to pull all this back out, and I can't really do that until I figure out exactly where I'm going to put the sub panel, where the knockout's at on the sub panel, we can go ahead and run some other stuff today. So some of the last inside wiring that I have to run, I picked up some 6'2" wire today. This is actually overkill for our AC unit that's going to be upstairs. It only calls for 8 gauge because it's got relatively small heat strips. It's a small unit. But I'm going to go ahead and upsize it in case we ever do any upgrades down the road. Now's the time to do it, but this will carry enough amperage for me to go up another half-ton, ton unit, whatever we may decide down the road when it comes time to replace this one. So let's get this 6 gauge wire ran up through the roof. They're going to install me a disconnect up there, so all they need is the wire just up in the general area. And I also got some 12-3 wire in because we're doing a 3-way switch up there in the attic running to the back wall. So if you come up the attic stairs, you can flip it, or if you come up the stairs that are behind you that aren't there, that at some point might be behind you in the living room. Yeah, I hope y'all are catching on to these not so subtle hints I'm giving you. We would like to have a 3-way switch up there, so no matter what door you go through, stairs over there, stairs over here, and come up there, you can flip the switch to go in. I'll show you that in a second. That's the last of the inside wiring, other than one one Cat 6 I'm gonna run. That's right, I ain't even gonna record that. Everything else is outside. I'm about to run a ditch witch. We're about to get at it. So let's go ahead and wrap this episode up with the last little bit of wiring. Sorry, guess I'll see y'all in the next episode when the sub panel ever shows up. Thank you. All right, so right in this general area is where the dryer is going, and I want to put a vent straight through from the outside. That's the best way I can think to do it. Nobody really wants to see a vent on their porch, but I'm not overly concerned about it. It's going to blend in with the house okay. That sure beats running pipe all the way up and out of the house somewhere. Really restricting flow. I don't really want vent or lint blowing straight up through a vent, falling back down. Kind of want a nice clear path out. But I want to get this as close to the wall as I can, but leave enough of a corner that the sheetrockers can put some mud in there and tape. So I got to knock out a little bit of this wood. I got this big old 4.5 inch hole saw here that I had for another project. It should work out great, being this got a little bit bigger lip right there. There's a frog. So let me see if I can notch this wood out and then bust through to the outside. That actually worked really, really good. Dang! All right. I was afraid it was going to rip up some of that vapor barrier. Thought I would try it. I should have come out here and cut it with a razor knife like I've done some other stuff, but we can seal that. That's what flashing tape's for. Oh, that fits perfect. Now, I'm not going to leave it like that. We're actually going to have to build a picture frame around this out of some hardy board trim. So that picture frame that we're actually going to build out, which is basically just a big square with that trim, will allow me to trim my lap siding all the way around it. That's the only reason I need that. So, definitely a kind of boring episode, aggravating episode. I don't have what the heck I need to finish it. It's already 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There's no point in digging out a whole bunch of tools and starting on something else. So, aggravating. I'm trying to go ahead and get all the penetrations done through the house as I think about them, like that dryer vent right there. And then I've still got to do the plumbing, stack out the back. I got to figure out how to tile that in, to be honest with you. And the last penetration I can think of, other than the sub panel, would be the microwave hood vent, and still figuring that one out too. But I did go do some shopping today. That's why this video is went over many days. So as you can see, I am now officially broke. I've bought the second most expensive stuff on the planet right here. So I've got all my 2-inch PVC for my drain stacks, all my 1-inch PVC, which is going to feed water over to the house, so a little bit of CPVC to do some penetrations through the wall for the sheetrockers, and then we'll go back and finish all that plumbing out later. Now I know some people are going to say, hey, you can't feed a house with PVC. Yeah, you can. We'll discuss all that in the next episode, but that NSF right there is what you really want to look for on your stuff, and modern things have changed as far as PVC goes. But have no fear, everything inside the house is CPVC, which is rated for higher pressures, UV rated, which makes no sense. It's in a house, higher temperatures, all that good stuff. So that'll be feeding all of our cold and hot water in there. I've also been working on something else today behind the scenes. Y'all remember the laser engraver? Been playing with it for a friend. Check this out. So it's over there running, doing its thing. I've been making cornhole plats. Check that out. So yeah, it's been a little busy today. I've had a lot going on. Spent about 4 hours shopping this morning, getting a bunch of electrical stuff, PVC stuff. Now I'm kind of twiddling my thumbs waiting on Amazon so I can finish the electrical side. Tomorrow, is it tomorrow? Yes, tomorrow I have the propane gas company coming out looking at how they can run lines. I'm also going to ask them if there's any possible way we can run a line up to the front where the outdoor kitchen's going to be. That's something I did not think about to begin with, and I should have. I should have run a PVC line up through the concrete to supply a copper gas line right there. So I'm also supposed to be meeting with the spray foam installer this week. The one glass company's done reached out. Hey, we're still working your quote. We don't have it just yet. So I should be hearing from that. So a lot of stuff going on this week. Next episode, we're gonna try to finish these sub panels up. Then I'm renting a ditch witch. I'm gonna do that in 2 days. We got to run all that electrical out there to the pole, as well as while I've got the ditch witch rented, we're gonna go ahead and run some water lines. That's what I bought a lot of that stuff for today. Put a couple of those around my house for watering flowers, things like that. Oh, goodness gracious. Then we start moving into some inside plumbing, penetrations through the wall. I got to figure out how to get a microwave vent out up there, plumbing stack out up there. I got a lot going on, y'all, and I'm going to keep bouncing back and forth for quite a while on these episodes. We'll have more stuff coming up in the next one. Thank y'all so much for watching. Catch you on another video. So we'll picture frame it out, and then this will actually extend out just a little, and then that picture, oh, I bit my cheek. I bit my cheek. I bit the heck out of my cheek. Fat tongue, fat cheeks, everything getting in my way trying to speak. That rhymed too. Ah.